Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Hurdle the Line. You might be thinking, what on earth? No, this isn't Hurdle the Line. It's a Friday morning. Why is there an episode of Hurdle the Line out on Friday morning? That's because it's season time. The NFL is back tonight. Well, tonight, the time of recording, so we split now into our Thursday and Monday groups. Joining me on this Thursday, my Thursday night team for the season going in screen order. We have Ballers Meg, brand new to the show. Well, not brand new to the show anymore, but brand new to Thursday nights. How are you, Ballers Meg?
I am very well. I am so excited that football is back, baby. How are you?
It's been back for 2 weeks. Karl, we have Karl who has returned. They're like the prodigal son. He's back. Karl, how are you, sir?
I'm all good, mate. I'm all good. Let's bring it. Let's bring it on. A brand new season. It's going to be full of craziness, full of controversy, but it's all going to be for. It's all going to be for fun as well. Unless you're the Cowboys, then it's a different story.
And last but not least, with everyone telling us that football's back this week, me and Sam, we have both had our work on the college pod completely invalidated for the last 3 weeks. Nice to have work that's going to be finally appreciated. How are you, Sam?
I'm good. I'm good. I think I finally recovered from the Texas Longhorns losing. They just about recovered.
Just about. I've still not recovered from Ohio State winning. Thanks, Sam. Thanks a lot. So, as has been said, we're split now into two teams. Oh, by the way, I'm Fletch as well. If you didn't already know, you should by now. We have now split into two teams. Every Thursday night, we will be doing a preview show of all of the weekend's NFL action. And then we'll even probably do a little review of Monday Night Football as our Monday night crew won't be able to get there in time. Then on Mondays, you will have Chapman, Ollie, and Tom on the review crew as they will review all of the Thursday night, this week, Friday night, and all of the Sunday action as well. Can't wait. Before we get into the episode, as always, if you go down, if you are on YouTube, look back over here. Look where Sam is. That beautiful, beautiful face. Stop looking at the beautiful face, though, for a little bit. Look a little bit further down. You will see the description of the episode. If you're on audio only, none of that's just made any sense to you. Go back in the app, check the description of the episode, and you will see a load of text. Ignore that. Then you'll see a load of blue links. Look at the blue links. Follow the AAW Network on all social media. Follow Hurdle the Line on all of your social medias. Follow all of these wonderful, beautiful human beings on your social media. And then join our Discord. Get through the season together. There'll be plenty to do. And I would even say that right now, because we've got that little partnership going, join Ballers Meg's Discord, of which the link will also be in the description for the Sunday watch parties. Sunday afternoon, evening watch parties as well. We do the Saturdays on college football. Ballers Meg does the Sundays for the NFL. Okay, so last thing actually before I do, we'd also like to shout out this episode is sponsored by Fantasy Game Day.
Whoop whoop.
Let me ask you, I've got a question for you guys. Do you like to play fantasy football to enhance your Sunday NFL watching experience?
Of course.
Yes.
Right. Do you like to put a couple of pound on, put a bit of edge on that Sunday NFL watching
Always.
experience?
Always.
Now, wouldn't you love a way if you could do both of those things at the exact same time? I think it'd be fantastic.
Tell us how, Fletch.
Well, we used to be able to until DraftKings buggered off, but more importantly, Fantasy Game Day came in and saved the day. The first and only NFL daily fantasy app made by UK fans for UK fans. You can set a lineup. It's a lot like Fantasy Premier League. You get a budget, set a lineup, put that lineup through, and however well they do, like any other fantasy football league, you rack up your scores, and then at the end you could win some cash depending on how well your team does.
Just like that.
Just like that. So, if you haven't done this already and you want to do this, go to the Fantasy Game Day app, whether you are on Android or iPhone, it will do that very, very thing. Go onto the app, sign up, and when you get to the sign up, go to the bottom, you use code HRDLE. That is HRDLE. That is hurdle without the U.
Because there's no you with it. There's no a line.
Oh no, week one.
Oh no! Biblical
Executed to
stinker and
perfection.
hooked.
We didn't practice that. We didn't practice that. Just executed
No.
to perfection off the bat. Um, and
Thing is,
you
I actually managed it on Monday perfectly.
did. And if you do that, then when you pay and when you deposit and play for the first time, you'll get a free plate worth £7.50. Because they're just generous like that. They really are. Anyway, On to the news. Guys, I'm going to throw Sam, by the way, do you have any news for us that has happened since Monday?
Since Monday, obviously probably the most recent news, which is screwed up a lot of my fantasy team's depth, is Amari Cooper has decided to retire after after joining the Raiders. He must have stepped into that camp and just gone, nope, I'm not doing it anymore. So he's retired after 10 years in the league. Um, I think his explanation was he basically just wasn't feeling it anymore, which is pretty much a similar thing that Aaron Donald said, that the moment that he wasn't feeling like he wanted to be there, he had that drive, he was just going to quit. So I think something similar has obviously happened there. The only other bit of news, which it might be really, really old, was that Zach Evans, the 2 years out of college, that we drafted in 2023, has decided to retire, but we still don't know why. Don't know if it's maybe because, I mean, he got picked up by the Jets, I think, last year and got waived by them, and then he's retired. So I'm not sure what's gone on there. He might have just decided he doesn't want to do it, which, it does happen. So yeah, there is other news, but I think other people have. I'll leave it for other people to reveal.
Meg, have you seen anything since Monday? Thank you, Sam, by the way.
Have I seen anything since Monday?
Well, I want to say newsworthy. Like, I don't know, I'm not bothered if you've literally seen things. I'm going to gather that was the
Right.
case.
I was going to say long episode otherwise. Um, Bits and pieces. I know that everybody else has got some things that they want to share as well. The Mr. Beast story is the crazy thing. Of this kind of fake news that Mr. Beast has bought the NFL. Um, that that is mad, and the fact that he is naming YouTubers from every franchise as people to represent the NFL. But yeah, that's pretty much it from me, really.
Every year, the NFL does like one advertisement, right? Well, the kind of the pre, just before the season starts, it's that little video they do before the season. The 100th anniversary one with the gala dinner. Does anyone remember that one? Where
It
you
ring
had
it rings a bell, but I
that was
can't quite picture it.
brilliant. So like the Roger Goodell was doing like some sort of
Yes, I do
yeah,
remember that now. Yeah, yeah.
and they had all sorts of players both in the league, out the league, retired, and all sorts. This ball falls. Everyone's having a really nice posh gala dinner. A ball falls on the floor, and someone just goes, "Oh no!" Everyone starts jumping on it, and it's brilliant. If you haven't seen it, go and watch it. It's very really cool. And this year's that I found it hilarious, that video. It was brilliant. Shout out to Mr. Beast. That was funny. Roger Goodell can't act, by the way. He can't.
No,
It's
no,
some
he
of the
cannot.
worst acting I've ever seen.
There's a lot of things he can't do, to be fair.
Karl, did you have anything?
So there's a couple of bits that I found earlier on today. The 49ers and Juwan Jennings, they've reached an agreement on a deal that will add 3 million in playtime incentives to the wide receiver's contract per his agents Drew and Jason Rosenhorst. Now, instead of earning 7.5 million this season, Juwan Jennings can earn up to 10.5 million, which is great for Juwan Jennings. The only other little bit, but the sad news, unfortunately, was Jets guard Elijah Vera Tucker is now out for all of the season. He's undergoing season-ending surgery on his torn tricep. So that Jets line that was trying to keep getting better, trying to keep better, trying to get healthier. Unfortunately, Vera Tucker has gone down again with another significant injury, and that's bad news for the Jets.
Good news for you though in the AFC East. Obviously, you don't want anyone to be injured, but
I'll be in trouble if I speak.
um, the only couple of things I've noticed, you got Nick Benito has agreed with the Broncos to a 4-year extension worth up to $120 million. It includes a base $106 million. Now works out about $26.5 million a year for the outside linebacker. I do believe there was one other contract extension, but I can't remember who.
There is someone just come through about 12 minutes ago.
Benito.
I just said Benito.
Oh, sorry, I wasn't listening.
Yes.
I do
Thanks, Sam.
apologize.
Oh, that was it. Abraham Lucas for the Seahawks agreed
Yes.
to terms on a 3-year, $46 million extension that includes the chance to earn more via incentives.
Yep.
Packers have signed their punter Daniel Whelan to a contract extension as well.
Shout
That's
out
just
to,
come in 12 minutes ago.
can we just give a shout out, by the way, give a shout out to Daniel Whelan, Irish. Granted, plays for the Packers, but he's Irish. Love to see the Irish lads doing well over there. Charlie Smith's still over there, back on the Saints practice squad. And love to see guys from over this side of the pond doing well and in the NFL.
And
And
there's also just been a bit of breaking news come through as well. Sorry, Fletch. Texans wide receiver Christian Kirk has a strained hamstring that's expected to sideline him for at least Sunday's opener versus the Rams and possibly longer, per sources. One source estimates it to be a 2-week injury for Kirk, but the Texans will be cautious with him in quotation marks.
What a
okay.
shame.
So, right, I have one more piece of news. I won't tell anyone what it is. I need to get my drink ready, right? It was announced yesterday that is the death. We've seen the death of 7 hours of commercial-free football. As Scott Hansen confirmed the death by the Pat McAfee show, I think it was by the Pat McAfee show, where he said that there will now be full-on commercials during Red Zone. We will never hear Scott Hansen say 7 hours of commercial-free football again. It will now be 7 hours of Red Zone football. So I was gonna just want to pour one out for the homie that was 7 hours of commercial-free football. It's dead, and we're done.
There's only when I came across this earlier on this morning, I think the whole plan of it was doing it in a double box type of theme. So, say for example, you're watching an action that's happening in the red zone for one of the games, and they do go to a commercial, they'll double box it.
Right.
So they do it sometimes during so they do it sometimes like an NFL guys. Like when you watch on ESPN, sometimes they shift the screen off left, and then they have like the commercials that go down the right hand
Yeah,
side.
yeah.
I think that's what they're actually doing. I don't think it's like the oh no, it's the play's about to happen at the 2 yard line, handball off to the running back, and Burger King, here we go, try the new Whopper and that sort of thing. They're not going to do that. That will really piss the fans off.
I
But
was
they won't
really
do that sort of thing. They'll double box it with a game and a commercial, or if we've got like two games going on which are in the red zone, then they'll triple box it. You know what I mean? If you
yeah.
get what I mean.
I was really hoping you would have actually jumped in like Liberty, 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 and done one of the actual jingles for us.
I cannot wait for that. Advanced bloody
How
State Farm.
Do you know what? I like seeing Jake from State Farm until week 3, and I'm just like, go away,
Yeah,
leave me alone. I'm gonna put a
I've had enough
restraining
of you
order
now.
against him.
You were entertaining at first, and now you're not. Like there was one he did. Was it with Patrick Mahomes where he was doing the wait? What's it where you throw the sacks into the hole? That game.
Cornhole.
corner.
Yeah. And then he lobs one really far or something, doesn't he? It was something like that. That was a weird one, but been loads over the years.
Fun fact about cornhole that I've obviously never done. Obviously, but you
You
can
definitely
watch
played
it.
cornhole.
I'm not talking about playing. You can watch the American Cornhole League on DAZN for free. Um,
How do you know this, Fletch?
because I've seen it
Because
advertised on
at
DAZN.
4 a.m. in the morning, he's been sat there watching cornhole
People
finals.
throwing bags into holes.
Right. Do you ever watch the Olympics and you'll watch one of the sports that you've never watched? Like you only watch it once every 4 years because it's on at the Olympics and you've just put in something on. I don't know, like a badminton or an archery or
Dressage.
something. Dressage. But somehow within 4 minutes of you watching it for the first time in 4 years, you've gone back to knowing everything that you know about that sport and you can make accurate judgments watching the sport live. And I got the same with cornhole. About 3 minutes in, I'm going, you need to put more weight on that throw, man. It's just not good enough. You're not counting for no. It's weirdly entertaining. Weirdly entertaining.
Oh, look,
I've heard.
the Cowboys are elevating wide receiver Ryan Flournoy, and linebacker Buddy Johnson from the practice squad for tonight's game. There you go.
Fills us all with hope that it's going to be a great Cowboys squad in front of us.
Yeah. Anyway, right. Let's get on to the bit that we really want to talk about. Let's get on to football. Now, as of the time of recording, the NFL starts in 4 hours. It has just gone 20 past 9. The NFL is back in 4 hours. The Cowboys will travel to Lincoln Financial Field to take on the Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles in what should be a matchup of football.
It'd be an
That's
ass
it.
one.
That's what we're calling it. We're calling it a matchup of football that will take place tonight. Before we do, I mean, we'll start getting into talking about some of these games. In fact, let's properly start. What are we looking at tonight? How do we think this game's going to go? Is it going to be a bloodbath? What do the Cowboys need to do if they want to keep themselves in this game? Just pray for a week one sloppiness type game from the Eagles.
I think they've just got to get CD Lamb on the ball.
Mm.
That's at the end of the day.
Yeah.
CD Lamb's where they make their plays, and they need to make sure that he gets out free and start because they're not going to be able to. I don't think they're going to be able to stop the Eagles. So it's going to be a case of can they keep up with the Eagles, and that's where you need to have the likes of CD Lamb and George Pickens getting into the right spaces and making plays. So for me, it's going to be down to can Dak do something because their running game. I mean, we don't really know what's going to happen with their running game because obviously Javonte Williams has not been good in the NFL at all. Really, he's had a few bursts, but not really. And then we've never watched Jaden Blue play in the NFL, so we don't know how that's going to turn out. So they could be non-existent on the floor, and he needs to throw the ball, which would then mean the likes of CD Lamb and that have to step up. So yeah, it'll be a case of keeping Dak as vertical as possible for as long as possible to find his players.
Yeah.
While Saquon decides to just run all over them.
Yeah.
I think the key is also this game is to work out because Brian Schottenheimer, he's been standing behind. He was standing behind Mike McCarthy when he was at Dallas, but Mike McCarthy was calling the plays, not Brian Schottenheimer. So this is the first time now that we're going to see how good of a play caller Brian Schottenheimer actually is on this offense. Let's see how he actually handles this. This Eagles defense is still they've lost some pieces. Let's be real, they have lost some pieces, but
They've drafted well as well. They brought in Jad Campbell, wasn't
Jed
it?
Campbell,
Yeah.
yeah, my defensive rookie of the year, hopefully.
Quinion Mitchell has got another. Is now a year down, so he's obviously coming back much more fresh and hopefully a lot more experienced. Because I think even though he had an okay season last year, I think there was still a few mistakes in him, which inevitably there always will be with cornerbacks in the NFL coming into their first year. So he'll be one to watch and see how he performs. And obviously they brought back Zach Bound, didn't they? So that was a solid move. And then obviously I think one of the favourites in terms of linemen, Jalen Carter for the defensive player of the year. I think he's one of the favourites. He's obviously going to be another year in, and he could potentially be a wrecking ball. So, yeah, I think their defense is going to be solid, but I do think there's potential for the Cowboys to make moves and to advance the ball down the field. It's just like I say, it's down to if they can keep Dak vertical for long enough for him to be able to find the two receivers. I still am not convinced by Pickens being a wide receiver too. I don't think he's going to like it, and I can imagine by the time we get to weeks 6 or 7, if he's not getting enough targets, he's going to start causing problems. But hopefully, we won't get to see that in week 1, because if we do, then you've got a real worry on your hands if you Dallas.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the things as well I'd say is I really agree with you've got to get the ball into CD Lamb. And that is if you're going to do anything today, and this is where I'd be saying, look, do you know what? If you're going to place any bets, I know, Karl, you're going to talk about having some bets down later on.
Hmm.
But one of the bets I'm looking at is taking the CD Lamb on the over on whatever receptions it is. He's on, I think it's 6.5 on BetMGM. Elsewhere, it's 5.5. Because, one, well, Philly last year played more man coverage any other team in the NFL. Like, they played the most man coverage. CD Lamb is the second best wide receiver in the league at beating man coverage. Right? That's how it's going to happen. If you are going to win it, you are going to win it through CD Lamb. And like you say, though, the problem you've got there is you've got to keep Dak upright long enough to get the ball to CD Lamb. That's the only thing you've got. That's your biggest problem is keeping Dak up.
Yeah,
Yeah, 6.5 is his over at the moment on Bet365.
Oh, I can say their lines again now. Yeah.
yeah. The Dallas offensive line it wasn't very good, was not good at all last year, and this year it's not been that much better to be honest with you. Tyler Guyton, who was injured, I think he'll be back. He'll be back ready to play for tonight. That'll be key to keep Prescott standing up. But all I'll say is this: okay, if this line cannot help the running backs run the ball, then Prescott is going to be throwing that ball about 40 times tonight. And there's always a saying: if you rely on a running game for Dak Prescott, he won't be as reckless as what he would be if the running game doesn't work. But there is no running game, Prescott's going to throw a lot the ball. And I will say this right now: I don't know what the over under is on the interceptions, but if it's something like 1.5 on interceptions, I'd take the over because I think he's going to make at least a mistake tonight. And whether or not that's going to end up being just a simple interception or it could be a pick six, I don't know. But if the running game for Dallas isn't working, it could be a very, very long day. And as much as we say he needs to go to CD, remember he still has Ferguson to throw to. You know he's going to have to utilize. He's going to have to utilize Rico Dowdle and Blue as pass catches out of the backfield. But then you're hoping your line can make some blocks further down the field to gain yards. It it all depends. It all depends on the line of Dallas and how it works. If it works, then
That
it might be a closer game than we think. I think the line is basically saying -8.5. I think it was,
Yep.
which for me is too much. But yeah,
the
go
over
on,
under for interceptions is 0.5.
0.5. Take the
Yeah, that's
over.
10 to 17 though. The odds aren't great, but the odds for two interceptions is 14-5 for Dak.
Just under 3-1.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'd say take the two and over then.
Okay, so we'll get the chance to talk about this game a little later on as well. But there's only so much we can do mulling over this game, given that by the time anyone listens to this
He'll
game's
be
done.
done.
Game's done. We know who the winner is. Um, so I think we need to start this week by talking about this one game we're gonna come here. We'll have a game of the week. There is a game that we will highlight that is the most, and this week it seems obvious, and
Yep.
there's only one person that can introduce this game of the week to us. Wait, that way, yeah. Well, Meg,
It's,
take it away.
it's the Falcons, right?
Cheers. Yes.
So game of the week this week is the Bills Ravens matchup this week. Both teams are looking pretty decent going into the season. We've got the last two MVPs coming up head to head against each other. They've played each other 13 times total. Ravens lead that 7-6. With arguably Ravens doing better during the season, Bills doing better post-season. And yeah, it's going to be spicy. It's going to be a spicy matchup. Lamar Jackson facing off against Josh Allen. it's hard to predict this one. I think, especially when it's a week one game of the season. We always say nobody knows what those teams are going to look like in their brand new form after all that off season drafting and trading and prep that's in every single team. And I think for this week, definitely, this is going to be the one to watch for in terms of a spicy matchup.
Okay. So, fun little fact about this game. In fact, no, it's a question. I'll ask it as a question. Can you tell me how many times a season has been opened with the most recent two MVPs playing each other?
3 times. Once.
It's never happened before, has it?
It has.
Oh.
This will be the 5th time in NFL history that this matchup will be the 2 most recent MVPs against each other in week 1. So obviously this year, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. Last year, in week 1, we had Lamar Jackson against the 2022 Patrick Mahomes, who was MVP. They were the last 2 last year. In 2000, 1999 MVP Kurt Warner faced off against 1998 MVP Terrell Davis. In 1998, 1997 MVP Barry Sanders. Just letting that one sink in there. Went up against 1996-97 MVP Brett Favre. Obviously, they shared it in 1997, which is still a travesty. And then finally, in 1980, the 1979 MVP Earl Campbell went against the 1978 MVP Terry Bradshaw. So it's 5 times in history now that this has happened.
There we go.
So, again, right? Where is this game? Because this is going to be a very close game. Where is this game won and lost?
I think it's going to be very much an in the trenches against each other matchup. I think you can be flashy, you can have all the the fancy plays, you can have all of that, but realistically, in terms of quality, when you're going up against someone who is kind of on your level, stylistically, skills wise, then you're going to have to do things a little bit differently. Both teams' defenses are going to have to play hard. We know that the offensive of on both sides is strong. They've got some weapons on each side. I don't think the Bills' weapons necessarily get recognised as much as that kind of Lamb Jack, Derrick Henry matchup. But yeah, I think this is one of the hardest, like I said, one of the hardest games to call this week.
Yeah, I think for me it's who can stop the rush of the running back, of the quarterback, will be who wins this game, because both sides like to use their quarterback in rushing plays. Both of them have very capable running backs as well, and both of them have, I don't want to say bad wide receivers, they're not bad, but probably lower mid-table wide receiver cores. And I think this, for me, it's going to be down to which D-line can stop which quarterback and who can be the one that can limit them to those plays, especially the 4 and 2s, the fourth downs where they usually would get that play over the line. If they can stop them a couple of times, that'll be where it's, because both teams have the ability to put points on the board. We've seen that, because the Bills last season, I think, was against the Rams and against the Detroit Lions. They both put up like 40 odd points.
Well, yeah, that was 2. Well, yeah, against the Lions it was a couple of years ago, but yeah.
Yeah. And then obviously the Ravens against the Rams also put up a lot of points. There was a big scoring game there as well, and they've done it in a fair few games where it's been more of a shootout than defensive prowess. But for me, it's the trenches. Who's going to stop the quarterbacks? Who's going to limit them to those plays, and who's going to who's going to force the other quarterback to throw more? I think that's where it'll be. And I think if both quarterbacks are forced to throw, personally, I think Allen would outshine Lamar.
I agree.
What I think though here is you've also got both teams. The Ravens have the better run game overall as well because they've got Derrick Henry coming out the backfield. That's where the Ravens were killing people all year because you've got to account for two runners, and then when you've got to account for, I think the difference there between planning for Josh Allen and Dalvin Cook is a world of difference. Not to say that they're
James Cook,
well, that's one James Cook.
his little brother.
Um,
I hope
but
it's not
planning for
Dalvin Cook because they're screwed otherwise.
but planning for James Cook and Josh Allen is different than planning for a Lamar Jackson and a Derrick Henry. It's a completely different kettle of fish. And while I would tend to agree that Josh Allen's got the better arm, I don't think that's particularly debatable. I'd stand by Baltimore having the better targets.
Who's got the better receivers on the perimeter?
I'd
I'd
probably
stand by
say
Ravens.
Flowers is probably the lead wide receiver out of them all.
Because you got Flowers, you got Bateman, you got
I
Mark
would
Andrews.
I would prefer Shakir and Coleman over the other two wide receivers in Baltimore, over Bateman and whoever else they've got. I think is it DeAndre Hopkins now in his like 20th season or something ridiculous. But yeah, Mark Andrews is probably a better tight end than Dalton Kincaid. I think, but that's harsh because I really like Dalton Kincaid.
I was going to say I really like him.
I think he's a very good tight end, just not utilized. But then they've also got Isaiah Likely, who I don't think is going to be fit for the opening game, which is obviously is a bit of a loss. But yeah, and also, I mean, they've got Derrick Henry, who can be a receiver, which is like if you're playing these screenplays, he's a wrecking ball. So yeah, I don't know. I think I just think it's one of the it's a 3-point game, one either way, and for me it's a coin flip. Who would you prefer to win? I think is the way I'm going into it, which would be the Bills in my opinion, but the Ravens could easily win, and they could easily blow the Bills out. It's not a game in the realms of possibility, but out of the realms of possibility, should I say?
Yeah, I'm trying to find some here.
I mean, the last time they played each other, or the last time they were head to head, I'll have a quick look. Where is it? Will it show me their head to heads? No, it won't. Never mind. I was going to look up their head to heads, but it won't show me. And obviously, it's 7-6, isn't it? So it's not exactly,
it's close.
It's very even. But I don't know how, in terms of recency, that is, whether it was Ravens for a while and then Bills for a while and then, or if it was like almost like
it's kind of like mixed, to be fair. They've always kind of gone back and forward.
And is it out? Where's it out to this one?
Buffalo.
Buffalo, yeah.
Buffalo.
So that's the other thing. It's going to be cold.
Yeah.
I mean,
Buffalo
not as cold as it could be.
I was gonna say you're not. It's gonna be nowhere near what it'd be like if you're playing this in December. But again, it's Baltimore get somewhat similar weather.
Yeah.
Not as bad, but it's not like Miami would be coming up to face Buffalo in December.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
It's probably, like I said, I would edge the Bills just slightly because it's a home game, because it's the first game of the season. I think home advantage does play a part, especially in these sorts of tight games, and it's just going to come down to which quarterback can be stopped.
On looking at the practice report, Elijah Moore did not practice today, and Isaiah Likely did not practice today.
We knew that about Isaiah Likely.
I knew Likely was
Which was very unlikely.
Yeah.
He's unlikely to play.
But Khalil Shakir full practice for the 2 days. Elijah Moore was not listed yesterday, but did not practice today, but it's listed as personal. So
I think he's on his way out of the league, but that's by the by. Well, but I'm assuming Coleman was full practice.
Coleman's not listed on it, so
No.
um, well, yeah, Coleman will be full practice if he's not listed on there. He's full practice. So
Who was the other wide receiver they've recently got? He brought in
Josh
someone
Palmer
else. That was it, Josh Palmer. Yeah,
or Curtis
I mean,
Samuel.
I don't care about Curtis Samuel. I prefer Josh Palmer out of the two,
Yeah,
but again, they've got plenty of mid weapons that they can use.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I just looking at as the Ravens. You've got it's Dave Flowers, Rashad Bateman, DeAndre Hopkins, Tylan Wallace, Devontae Walker, LeJohntay Webster even.
You lost me after DeAndre Hopkins, to be honest. The only reason I know Des Walker is because I drafted him loads and he's been crap.
Yeah, yeah, and then but like I say, even Isaiah Likely, you're not getting him involved in the game, so it's just Mark Andrews and
He's
yeah.
always a touchdown magnet, isn't he? He's Mark Andrews. So
But again, I'm looking at that right. Okay, I'm looking at this Bills receiving core, right, and I'm looking at the Ravens DBs. I think that's more of a mismatch for the Bills. Um, I
yeah, I
think
mean,
with Nate Wiggins,
Carl Hamilton's going to be if you're gonna, because obviously he's gonna be playing in the safety. You're gonna have him. If I was Harbour and making decisions, I'd be basically telling him follow Shakir everywhere, and that's his
yeah,
role for the game. Just follow
mm,
Shakir because he's going to be from what we saw last season. He's going to become Allen's main target in the backfield. So the one thing you need to do is put your best man on him.
yeah. So like again, the corners you've got Nate Wiggins, Kyle Hamilton, Malachi Starks, Jair Alexander, and Marlon Humphrey. Like that's
And
nasty.
Jair Alexander has had a full practice as well.
Yep.
Yep.
Against, and then you've got the Bills have Tre'Davious White, Tyler Rapp, Cole Bishop, Christian Benford, Taron Johnson. Like I think that Baltimore defense is just so much nastier. And even if you include Tre'Davious White, has not practiced for the last 2 days with a groin problem. He's probably not playing. Um,
Screw that man.
so
Expeditiously.
actually, it's one of those more. It's a really, really interesting matchup, and you never know what you're going to get out of week one. I don't know. I want the Bills to win, but I just think the Ravens have a little bit more, just a
I
little
think
bit more
as
there.
Meg mentioned as well, the Ravens always seem to have the advantage in regular season, but when it comes to the playoffs, the Bills just seem to have it. So
Yeah.
that also plays a factor. I mean, the Ravens don't know how to win playoff games, which is quite funny.
Yeah, they
No.
crack, don't they? They
Mm.
absolutely crack in playoffs.
Well, Kyle Hamilton likes to wear a Spurs shirt, so he's used to choking. So
Hey.
Just had to get that one in there, didn't we, Sam?
yeah, had to.
No complaints, by the way. I'm happy with it. Hmm. Okay, so going into week one, there's a lot. There's a full slate of 16 games. Tomorrow night we're in Brazil. Well, not we aren't. Um,
How
tomorrow
much?
night in Brazil. And me too. Tomorrow night in Brazil, Chargers Chiefs, and then we've got a full slate of Sunday and Monday night football. But some teams, you don't really care about in week one. That's not where the most important. We're not asked about what the Chiefs do really in week one. We're not asked about what other. Who are the teams with the most to prove in week one? Who are the teams that need to come out, make a strong statement early on, and put the league on notice?
The Bungles.
The
Yeah, I was
Bungles.
going to say the Bengals need
The
to really,
Bengals.
especially
Their
against a divisional rival, they need to destroy the Browns.
their record over the last 6 years in weeks 1 and 2 is 1-11. It is appalling. Absolutely appalling. Um
Last year they were 0-3 as well, weren't they?
They went 0-3 in the first week.
0-3, yeah.
If they lose the first two games of if they lose the first two games of the season, they're already behind the eight ball already, and you
Mm.
can't trust this defense for love nor money. Yeah, you can rely on Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase to throw 40 points on the opposing defense, but the defense will give up 43 points. So we had this conversation on Monday about it. But Cincy, they've got to come out for their first two games is they're at home to Cleveland or on the road? I think they're on the road to Cleveland, aren't they?
I believe it's that. Yeah, they're on the road. Yeah,
They're on the road, so they're away to Cleveland and then they're at home to Jacksonville. Those are your first two games. If you do not win both those games, because the remaining next stretch of games, the next four games are an absolute nightmare for them. They
you get
can't.
at the Vikings.
Yep.
Then it's
At the Broncos
at the
versus the
Broncos, which
Lions.
is a very difficult game. Yeah, and then the Lions after that.
Yeah.
At home to the Lions, but still it's the Lions. And then week 6 is away at Lambeau Field to the Packers.
Yeah.
So,
See,
That is nasty.
that's the first two games are going to be so critical for Cincinnati,
Yeah.
in my own personal humble opinion. And I think Zach Taylor's got to be very, very careful as well,
I
because
think
this can't keep
he's on
on
the hot seat.
continuing.
Yeah, he's definitely on the
I
hot
think if
seat.
this happens again, I think he could be gone by the end of the season.
I think if he goes into that Steelers game in week 7,
Week 7, yeah.
and they're only, I would say if they're 2-4 going into that or less, I wouldn't be surprised if he loses his job midway through the year.
Yeah.
I wouldn't
It
be
wouldn't
surprised
shock
at that
me.
at all.
Yeah.
Because you could understand maybe that, if they were 3-3, I think that'd be acceptable given they've got that tough run. But if they go into that stretch of 4 hard games and they've lost 2 of them, then I think that if they could easily be 0-6 going into that game against the Steelers, which would be horrendous given the fact that they've literally just what they paid for Hendrickson and or not obviously signed him onto a long deal, but a year, but also all of the reliance then on hoping that Burrow and Chase get you out of a hole. I just think it's it's like they say, it's the whole line, isn't it? It's the same story but different season, and the writing would be on the wall for Zach. But
Yeah, that's a brutal stretch.
Mhm.
And even like that last year, can you remember it? Karl, who did
Mm.
they lose to in week 1 last year?
Oh, they lost to the Patriots, who were one of the worst teams in the NFL.
And last year, their whole story was 1-score games.
Yep.
Yeah.
And just being on the wrong side of 1-score games, and it was disgusting. I'll get the record back up here. Yeah, at home they were 3-5 as well. Did not get it done at home. On away they were 6-3. It was. Then you go 1-3 in September, 2-2 in October, 1-2 in December. So that's 4-7 going into December.
Yeah.
You can't be doing that. You
Nope.
just can't.
No.
Not for the Bengals.
You can't be going into the run up to the playoffs and be needing other teams to basically lose for you to get in. That's just, you can't be in that position.
The minute you require the minute you require someone else to help you do your job is basically saying you can't do the job yourself.
Yeah.
Um,
So
so the Bengals have a lot to prove going into this week. Anyone else?
I'm going to throw a team out there which I think you're going to be probably surprised about. They've been in the playoffs twice and they have failed twice in recent times. It is Houston. It is Houston.
Yeah.
They are a team that they should be beating the teams they should beat, and then they lose to the teams that they should lose to. When are they going to put in that statement victory to say, okay, we're not being pushed around anymore. We're asserting myself. We want to be with the Kansas Cities. We want to be with the Buffaloes. We want to be with the Cincy's. We want to be with the Baltimores. You know, we want to be with, we want to be with the likes of Denver who are on the uprise and so on. They may have won the AFC South, but let's call a spade, shall we? The AFC South is one of the worst divisions. Not the worst, but it is one of the worst, right? So they've won that by the Jags are still building. The Tennessee Titans were all over the place, and Indianapolis,
We're a mess.
well, they're a mess with their owner, and they're in a mess in the quarterback situation. But I will not go down the road of the owner.
Well, you better not. He's dead.
Yeah.
We're not taking
It's the
swipes
fact
at.
why I said I'm not going down the road for that laugh. Anyways, I was saying, Houston need to start putting up some big victories. I need to let me get Texans schedule up. So just give me 2 minutes.
I've got it in front of me at the moment if you want me to read them out.
So I'm here. I'm there. So their games, obviously, Rams, Buccaneers, Ravens, Broncos, 49ers, Bills, Chiefs, Chargers. There are some teams there where they need, a game like the Chiefs on Sunday Night Football. That's on the 8th of December. Sunday Night Football, under the lights. If they get a win over Kansas City there, then that's a statement. You put a statement on the lights of Sunday Night Football. But they've got to put some big wins up. CJ Stroud had a fantastic rookie year. He had a traditional, most quarterbacks have a traditional sophomore slump. So this is one he needs to pick up a little bit better. And
It's a shame he's going to start with a loss then, isn't it?
well, I mean, you never know.
Yeah, we do. We do. Can
I don't think that the Houston Texans O line is all too good. They've sold too many pieces. They've got rid of too many pieces, and I don't think the pieces they replaced them with are as good. And I think that was one of the problems we saw last year is that they couldn't keep Stroud upright. I think obviously their running game is a bit all over the place. Obviously they're going to have to start Nick Chubb week one with Mixon still on pup.
Which isn't the worst. It's not the worst running back to start with. There are
No,
worse running backs to start with.
when he's coming off the injury that he's had, it's he's never going to be
Yeah,
the
it's not
same.
ideal.
And when you're up against the likes of Jared Verse and Braden Fisk and what is it? Pooh, what's his face? I can't remember what his name is now.
Who can it do?
No,
That's on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, the defensive, the guy, Poona Ford, that's it. And then obviously Byron Young in the backfield. It's not a game you want to be going in as your first game, I don't think, as a running back who's come off such a big injury. But yeah, I mean, I don't think it's going to be. I think they're going to obviously play well. I mean, they've got plenty of weapons to choose from. It's just, can they keep the likes of Verse, Fisk, etc., from getting to Stroud? And I'm not comfortable that O line is good enough to do that. And I think it's gonna rely on Stroud having to get the ball out very quick. Because to be fair though, if he gets it out quick and he gets it to the right receivers, they'll have a field day because we have an awful not an awful secondary, but it's not a great secondary.
Meg.
Yeah.
You're unusually quiet. It's making me nervous, so I'm going to make you talk now. The Texans, as I think it's a very, very, very fair point that our good friend Karl over there has just said. The AFC South even is it's a terrible division. It's just a terrible division. Does it not help when you have a cupcake walk to a home playoff? Like a home tie in the playoffs. Does it not help you that your division isn't giving you many matchups and you know that you don't have to really turn on the Jets in order to win your division, in order to make the playoffs? You can kind of just skate there nicely knowing that your competition is the Jacksonville Jaguars.
I think that's I think it makes it more difficult, to be honest, because if you're looking at your divisional rivals throughout the season, we know that anything can happen in division rival games normally. For the Texans, they don't have that same. Not saying that we don't see explosive plays or we don't see it getting a bit spicy, but realistically, it's not the same as watching, a Packers Lions game. It's not the same, even, and I know we can slate the Cowboys all we want. We know that the Eagles Cowboys games get crazy. We know, division rival games are always going to throw up some surprises. For the Texans, what worries me is that we talk about the CJ Stroud sophomore slump and all of that stuff. But realistically, when he does get to the big games of the season, it's not within his division. He gets to playoffs and he's not necessarily prepared with how competitive some of the other teams have had to be just to get to that, top of their division to get to those playoffs. I think it's an interesting one because I like CJ Stroud. I think he's, nothing spectacular, but I like him as a player. And I think we spoke briefly about this on Monday, but just the lack of weapons that he's got, it's due to either injury, draft choices, different things. It's an interesting one. I think that most people might say, "Oh, I'd love to have an easy division. I'd love to be able to, walk up on that division and easily know that my team could win." But realistically, I quite like to be able, personally, and it might be the competitor in me, I like to be able to show that my team is winning because they deserve to win, not just because it's a default win.
I agree with that because I think that
Yeah,
the stronger the division, I think also not only if you can then get into a position where you're in the playoffs, it stands you in a better stead when you get in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So to me, I think because I mean, obviously from my perspective, I think the NFC West has always been a very difficult division, at least in the modern years, the recent years, should I say. And I always think that that's then helped the Rams significantly because we've always had to play a very strong Niners team. We've always had to play a very strong Seahawks team. Obviously, had the Arizona Cardinals in there, so we need at least one easy dub. But
you need one tomato can to aim.
yeah, everyone needs one of them. But yeah, I think having that strong, at least two of the strong teams in that division really helps you.
Yeah.
And I think that's maybe why maybe the Texans have always struggled because they are like their last few
That's what I'm
games are
saying.
against the crap that they have to deal with in terms of Indianapolis and Jacksonville and all of that. So
Yeah.
I think it's
I,
more of a
I would
detriment.
not Jacksonville. I think if the Texans don't wake up on the situation, there is only one team in the AFC South that I can potentially actually see giving them a run for their money, and that is Jacksonville.
Mm.
But we
Yeah,
don't know what Liam Cohen's going to be capable of yet.
yeah. I mean, as we mentioned, obviously about Liam Cohen for being potential um, coach of the year. I think we eventually settle on Cohen or we settle on someone else. Either way, obviously he did get raised as one of the potentials. If he does as well as potentially we think he could be in terms of on the offensive side, then that obviously could be a real problem for Houston because
Yeah.
yeah, they're one of those teams that they're teetering on the edge of potentially losing the advantage that they have in their division.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was it, though. That was the question. That was what I was asking. I would say that's the Texans are not helped and they're not prepared. They're not ready for the postseason because they're walking it through the season.
Mhm.
In terms of teams, I think that need to show up and show out this week. I think Ben Johnson needs to prove that the
Yeah.
Bears need to come out and show that they are the better offense and that Ben Johnson has improved the Bears to the way that we expect them to. Don't have to come out and be perfect. Obviously, that's his first game as a head coach. It's their first game of the season. Nobody has to be perfect. But I think that they're under a pressure now of, well, come on then. Come on then, genius. I know, like, call it hate watching. It's a double hate watch, that game. But I'll be watching that game, making sure that everything I was told about him was true. I need to see it. I need that we need to see that. I think this week. So the Bears have a lot of pressure on them, I think, to come out and show, especially on offense, that they're
I
brand new.
On the flip side of that, I also think that the Lions are another team that have a lot to prove because not because they aren't a good team. We know they're a good team. They've got a lot of good players. But the one big thing, the big question mark is going to be is, was this Dan Campbell's team? Was this Ben Johnson's offense? Was this Aaron Glenn's defense? Or can they do it without those two guys?
Mhm.
How instrumental was Ben Johnson? How instrumental was Aaron Glenn to the way that they played? And obviously, there's a lot of people saying that potentially the Lions are not going to win their division. Personally, I think it's horse crap. I think they're to me, they're still the best team in the division. But there's always going to be that argument of are the Lions going to be the same without those two people in their team as their offensive and defensive coordinators? Me personally, I think they'll be fine. But
Yep.
especially against a team like Green Bay, where they are going into Lambeau Field. Green Bay are going to be up for it. They've brought in Parsons. That's going to be a massive energy boost to everyone in the stadium. The stadium's going to be going crazy. I think if you can go in and get a statement win at Lambeau, I think that puts you, to me, as one of it cements you as still being the favourite for that division, even if people say that you're not.
Yeah.
So I do think that there is an element of that the Lions have to prove something.
Yeah,
I think it's
agree.
entirely fair.
I think as well, if we're talking about our teams, I think for me, I'm bated breath for the Falcons Buccaneers matchup this week. There's so many. Anybody that you ask about NFC South, they will say it's between the Falcons and the Bucks for the division. With the Panthers sneaking in, hot this season. I'm very interested to see what the Bucks are doing without Mike Godwin. I think not Mike Godwin, Chris Godwin. Different guy completely.
I was going to say if we can't be having Chris Evans playing for.
We can't
Jimmy
have
Turner.
Chris
I can't
Evans
have
play.
that.
That's what literally just went through my mind.
Chris Evans and Mike Goodwin.
I interchange them all the time. It's ADHD. I'll be interested to see if Bucky Irvin can have another great season. I think he will over at Tampa. I like Baker Mayfield. I think he's great. But I'm really excited to see that Falcons new defense showing up.
You need to show up.
We really do.
It's been your week. It's been your Achilles heel.
Yeah, we've had no pass rush for how long?
Yeah.
Realistically,
it's been your Achilles heel for years. So
yeah.
if you can fix that and start getting some pressure on Baker, then I think you have a chance of winning that game.
We beat them twice last season, so it's not out of the realms of possibility. Fletch and I watched the Lions game whilst we were chatting through the Lions Falcons preseason game. And do you remember what the name of that Falcons defense player that just was running through your guys, and you messaged and you were like,
that
this guy needs to
disgusting
be
human
careful.
being. That thug. I'm trying to remember the name of that thug.
Is it Benson H?
Karl Hinton? No, that's not an offensive.
No, it weren't Hamlin, but I felt like it was. It felt like
it sounded like Hamlet.
Right, hang on. You talk between yourselves. I'll get it up.
But I hadn't. He wasn't even on my radar because I was so focused on James Pierce Jr. and Jalen Walker coming in on our defensive line, and I thought, oh, okay.
Zach Harrison?
No.
Yeah, some vile human being who was just like GBH all around on the field in a pre-season game.
Literally just running through.
DeMarco Hellams.
Hellams, that's the one. That's the one.
Safety, yeah. He's down as a hamstring, did not practice. So
good.
Keep an eye on that.
Hey, we're not against you guys this week. He was brutal. So yeah, I think in terms of setting the tone for the NFC South, that as a division matchup for week 1 is going to be interesting.
Yeah, will Raheem Morris loosen the shackles of Bijan Robinson? That's what I want to know.
If he lets Bijan loose, then we are in for trouble.
It's my thing that I've said for the last 3 years is, will someone just allow that man to do something, because he is so special.
Yeah. And he came out today and he said, he's basically said, I'll stay in Atlanta until we get what we deserve. And to him, that is a ring. And I mean, I love him. I think he's great. But in terms of his energy, even his energy, like he has his own brand of mustard called Bijan Mustardson. Like that is incredible. And he gives it out just like, like when they do like the open training camps and stuff. He just gives out like jars of mustard, Bijan
So
Mustardson.
what I want to know is then, are the Falcons then going to sign Will Levis so they can have a mayo mustard mix? Is that surely there has to be?
Oh no, we couldn't. Nobody
Can you
wants Will
imagine the
Levis.
sponsorship deals?
See,
Sponsored by Hellman's. Oh,
Yeah.
God.
Well, we've got Helm. We've got
Yeah.
Helm. I'm just saying.
that's not even the most fun fact about Bijan Robinson.
Oh God.
Do you not know?
I don't know which fact you're talking about.
One really cool thing about Bijan Robinson is when he go like at home, when he in his room, on his wall is a massive poster of Jahmyr Gibbs. Just a
Is that
massive
true?
poster. No.
I was like,
I was hoping you'd caught on to it at some point there, that he goes home, there's a massive poster of Jahmyr Gibbs, his hero. Gives it every night.
mm-hmm.
Like the film Like Mike. He puts the shoes on and he's like, make me like Mike.
Make me like Jameer.
Make me like Gibbs. No, I like that. I like the thought of, well, yeah, the Falcons. I don't feel like the Falcons have too much to prove on week one. I don't know. I just feel like, but Michael Penix has quite a bit to prove.
Yeah. There was too many bad decisions last season, and I think that's why I say they have a lot to prove in terms of we need to be able to reinstate the trust of the fans as much as anything in the coaching decisions that are happening over there, because realistically the biggest thing to come out of off season was that why was it not flagged that Kirk Cousins was playing hurt for a long time last season? Why did
that
nobody
was a decision, wasn't
clock on? So do you know what I'm saying? Like when I say prove themselves, it's like we're expecting a lot from Raheem Morris. We need him to stop being the smiling idiot on the stand and start, taking things, at least looking like he's taking things a bit more seriously and taking on board, because he's got potential to be a really good coach, but I think it's maybe a bit of inexperience from the way that he presents himself.
He's a bit of
Sometimes,
he's too much of a nice guy, isn't he?
yeah,
He
he needs
needs
to
to
get a
take
bit of
that.
grit.
Yeah.
No, but
Yeah.
I do remember tweeting out last season that Raheem Morris's smile is so infectious. Like I see it on the sidelines, and I'm just like, I want to smile.
Yeah.
I might for on that.
But why are
job.
you smiling whilst your team are getting run through though? Like, can we just?
Can I not? Can we not just keep Raheem Morris's smile? I just want to keep it. I want to.
Yeah, fine. You have him over at the Lions as your new
I
head
will.
coach.
No, not head coach.
He can be your defensive coordinator. He's a good defensive
Yeah,
coordinator.
yeah,
Let's see how Kelvin
yeah.
Shepherd does
Fine.
first. But I'm saying no one's. I'm not. No, not head coach. We've got Dan Campbell. I prefer Dan Campbell. I just want
Thought
Raheem
so.
Morris's smile.
I do think there is going to be a little pressure on Raheem this year. I think if he doesn't put up a strong, because the difference was last year is you won enough, you won a fair few games, but you never looked convincing enough. There was never that like.
It was always the skin of our teeth victories.
You're never going into that game thinking, or at least going into the fourth quarter thinking, we're sorted for this game. We don't have to think about too much. Just keep doing what we're doing.
Yeah.
And that's going to be the worry: is can you now do that? And I think if again there is that element, if you can put down a marker against the Bucks, who are, I think, the resounding favourites going into the season for this division, if you can put out a marker and win that game, I think it kind of puts the rest of the division on sort of on alert in terms.
Yeah.
Obviously, not the Suns, because unfortunately. Not sorry to Miss Fletch. The Saints are going to be number one pick this year. They're awful. But apart from that, I think it'll be a statement win if you can get against the Bucks, just because of the nature of how your division is going to play out. But
Yeah.
Before we move on, there are two more games I want us to bring up specifically, and I don't want to do that right away. I want to throw to another one of our co-hosts. Now, Sam or Karl, who wants to go first?
with what?
Your own little personal segment.
My own segment around Fantasy Match Day, that well-known supported app that we're going to be using for a lot of this year. So I mean, what we can do is obviously what we tend to do. If you've not already, go check out the Fantasy Den. We've just had our first episode on that. I'm assuming that's out now. Fletch came out this morning. So yeah, if you haven't, go listen to that. We talk about obviously a little bit about some of the players to watch out and not watch out for this season. And we're going to continue that on here like we did last year, but we're obviously going to look at it mainly from the Fantasy Den, the Fantasy game day side of it. So a bit of like the betting and fantasy element. I've kind of, obviously, as you'll have already seen if you'd have been watching on YouTube, I showed my screen. So I have picked a couple of lineups. And there are a couple of players in there which I really want to mention. As ever, I try not to talk about the ones that are the big players, the ones that cost 7 million, 8 million. There's no point. Someone's going to stick them in their team. I think in one of mine, I've even gone with the what's his face, Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase in one of my teams, just because why not? But there's two players I want to mention. One of which is both of them are wide receivers, so I'm sort of focusing on wide receivers this week. And the first one that I'm going to look at is someone who's actually going to be playing against the Falcons this week, and that's Egbuka. Emeka Egbuka.
Emeka Egbuka's great.
Yeah, he's valued at 3,200, and obviously he's going to start this week with Chris Godwin out. I know he said Mike Godwin then, with Godwin out. So I actually think he could be a really good pick, especially for someone where you're going to have to find a little bit of wiggle room with this.
Just to add to that, mate. Sorry to cut in. Also, Jalen McMillan is also out injured as well.
Yeah, he's on IR, isn't he?
He's on IR.
So he's one person that I'm looking at. The other one that I'm looking at, who's probably a little bit more expensive, is probably maybe someone that you're going to have as maybe either a wide receiver 2 or potentially a wide receiver 1 if you're going to go cheap on the wide receivers, and that's Ricky Pearsall. Again, same situation as Egbuka, really. He's going to be the number 1 wide receiver going into this week. Ayuk's still out injured. Obviously, we've only just seen Jennings come back has finally agreed those extension things, and he hasn't exactly been. He's come into this season, I think, with an injury. So again, he's probably going to play week 1, but he's not going to be the star wide receiver. I just think for 4,600, if you're looking for someone who is that lower tier, cheaper option, who's a wide receiver 1 who could potentially pick up some big points, he would be my other choice. I do have a tight end, but I already mentioned him on the Fantasy Den, and I have used him in one of these, and I'll just mention him very quickly, and that's Hunter Henry. Again, a cheaper option. He's only 3,000, and that he's going up against one of the top 5 teams for who gave up the most yards to tight ends, and I think Drake may use him in the first game at least, just to kind of build himself into the game.
Yeah, I think all of those are really valid picks. I've done a little fantasy game day lineup for tonight's game just to get myself warmed up and back in the field with it. It's always interesting when it's a Thursday night football game, because usually it's kind of just a little £3 game that they put on where you pick maybe I think five, is it? Five players on there. And you can really make some good lineups on it. The first one that I did was all Eagles players, and then I went back and edited and changed it up a little bit. I can't remember off the top of my head who's all on there. Saquon obviously is I think my captain. But apart from that, there's a real mix, and it's just making it work. But yeah, lots of fun on Fantasy Game Day. We had some really big winners last season, over on my lot, and it's always nice to see people doing well.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I think I maybe won once or twice, not big wins. I think 21 quid was one of the ones I got, which is
Yeah,
relatively good.
Nothing to be
enough
sniffed
to,
at.
enough to get me through a few free weeks essentially, and
Yeah,
after that.
yeah,
But yeah, Karl, who have you got? Because obviously I know
yeah.
you've obviously got a few players that you want to mention.
So there's one player that springs to mind actually, and that's Jalen Waddle of Miami. 3 straight years with 70 plus receptions, 3 straight years with 1,000 plus yards. Miami faced a league high 58% too high safety coverage in Tua Tagovailoa starts last season. Waddle's YPRR against too high safeties was 2.0. Tyreek Hill's was only 1.5. So this game could be a sneaky shootout. Waddle should have a field day against this Indianapolis secondary, in my own personal opinion. And then the other one, which I'll
I
just
have got him in one of my two teams, so I
he is,
agree with
yeah,
that.
he is worth it. He is worth it.
Only 4,000 as well, which I think is ridiculously cheap.
And the other one I'll throw in there, okay, you took a Booker. I've got a Booker in both of my fantasy matchups, and I'm so bloody happy. But I'm gonna throw someone a little bit left field. Jacksonville's tight end, Brenton Strange. Strange will be a valuable target in this Liam Cohen, Trevor Lawrence led up passing offense. Those two, they have a history of targeting the tight end, and Strange is a very good player. The Panthers allowed the most FPTs and sixth most schedule adjusted to tight ends. Brenton Strange, in my personal opinion, is stream of the week. So if you're not quite keen on your tight end, or you're going up in your main tight end in your main league, go and get Brenton Strange. I believe he should still be on waivers.
Yeah.
Oh,
And on here, he's
getting
only where
strange.
is he? He's only 2,400 on Fantasy Game Day, so he's not even that expensive,
No,
which will allow you to get a better player. I may tinker to him, but at the moment I've got the what's he called, David Njoku, which is a bit of an odd one, but I think he's the Bengals again. The Bengals gave up the most yards to a tight end all season with over 1,000. With 10, I think was it nine touchdowns or 10 touchdowns. And I think Flacco's basically just going to pound the ball to him because he's going to have no one else to throw to, apart from Judy. But I think Njoku's always been a target of his.
Joker's a very good safety blanket for Flacco.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Karl, have you done your bets?
Yes. So this is a small segment I've called Carl's Double Bomber. So
All for it.
all for it. So pin your listing is back, ladies and gentlemen. So you have got £10 in your pocket. Split it down. Both these ACCAs that I've done, they are for players to score a touchdown at any time, not first or last, anytime touchdowns. So I'm going to give you the smaller one first. This is a sevenfold. Josh Jacobs, James Conner, Jahmyr Gibbs, Derrick Henry, Malik Neighbors, Travis Hunter, and Drake London. This is all fun bet I found through Sky Bet. £5 on that ACCA brings you back a very nice £736. And then the bigger one, which I've done for just slightly different, Travis Kelce, Jamar Chase, Tyreek Hill, Marvin Harrison, Jacoby Myers, Brian Thomas, Christian McCaffrey, David Montgomery, and Nick Chubb. Remember I said backstage before we recorded that this was one of the biggest ones? A fiver on this little ninefold on all 9 of these to score a touchdown. gets you back over £10,000.
So you're losing £5 then.
So yeah, where's your optimism, Sam? Come on.
Oh, I hope you do win it. I always like to. I
Yeah, we
always
love to
tend
see
to
it.
pass that around.
And
I've
if you
not
don't,
looked
if
at
you
my
don't,
bets
if
yet.
you want to do ninth, just take a few names out. You're still gonna get a fair bit of money. You're still gonna get a
Yeah,
fair bit of money, even from a fivefold in that, for that matter.
yeah.
Love
I
it.
think I haven't done my bets yet. I might have to start looking at them
Just
before these, but it's yeah. I
just wondering if that bet comes through, Karl, can I borrow a tenner?
Right, I'll take you and your family on holiday with me and my boy. Simple.
Right, where are we going? Listen, my mum works for the big man. I'm putting words in. I'm putting words in. Um, okay, so thank you very much, Carl's what?
Big
Double
bomber.
bomber.
Big Bomber. Okay. I
Yeah,
heard
we'll go
Big
with that.
Blunder. The mind is what it wants to. Either way, I love it. We've got a couple of matchups this weekend that I do want to. We're not going to focus on, but I want to. I think they're interesting. Number one is Steelers at Jets, and this is only because this is the Aaron Rodgers Bowl again.
I thought you were going to say this is the game that's wrong for all the
For
right
all the
reasons.
wrong reasons.
This is, and I say partly this is wrong for all the right for all blah, 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 wrong
Both
good for
ways
all
to work.
the wrong reasons. There we go.
Yeah,
Um,
good for all the wrong reasons.
Not quite. I think this would be a very interesting game. Don't get me wrong, but you've got Justin Fields going back playing against the Steelers again. You've got Aaron Rodgers now playing against the Jets. I think it's going to be really funny to see how Aaron Rodgers handles it going back to a place where, let's face it, the Steelers, from what I can tell, did not have a bad word to say about Justin Fields when he left, whereas the Jets didn't have a good word to say about Aaron Rodgers when he left. He's got to go face Aaron Glenn again. When Aaron Glenn walked over to it, made him fly all the way out to New Jersey just to tell him not to come back again. Which th- those things are going to be things that, like, what do they play on his mind when he's playing them? Does that atmosphere get a little bit hostile while he's in there? There's a there's that little bit more riding in it for a non-divisional game. There's a little bit riding in it, which I think a lot of eyes will be on that game. And I do believe, to this could be a shout out to Sunday's event in Manchester, ran by the NFL, where they're doing a screening of Steelers Jets
Yep.
in Manchester, which I know I will be at. Meg, you'll be at it. Mrs. Fletch will be there. There'll be a few other people we know. It's another thing that we're going to that Sam's not gonna go to. Um,
Bloody
golf.
Northern.
You're about bloody
Hang
Europe
on, you're
now.
up in Leeds. What are you on about?
You don't need
I'm in
that.
Dartford. I'm even further north than Leeds.
So, but I think this is one. But if you want my game that's going to be good for all the wrong reasons, if I was to have to pick one, it'd probably end up being Dolphins Colts.
Mm, Daniel
I
Jones.
I think Dolphins was going to be my team that have to prove something this year.
Yeah,
I genuinely think Mike McDaniel's is in the hot seat. If they don't do enough to even challenge, I think he could be out of a job by the end of this year.
Let
Yeah.
me throw something out there for you, okay? So when a head coach comes in, I'll give Mike Vrabel the prime example. You look at Mike Vrabel, he's tough. He wants you to work hard. He's a bully. He demands you to work hard. When he eventually, over through the years, he might go a bit softer. You can obviously understand that he's softer on his players than he used to be. When you're Mike McDaniel, you're coming as a head coach. You sound like a nice guy. You sound like you just want to be around there with the lads. The minute you start acting like you want to be a bully and you want accountability, no one's going to take you seriously. And I think this is where Mike McDaniel is now at now.
yeah.
Mm. I also
Um,
think that he's in. It's this to me as well is also Tua's last opportunity.
Yeah.
yeah.
Because if he goes
Agreed.
down again, that's him. I think the Dolphins will step away from him, and I don't think there's going to be too many. Well, there's going to be plenty of other teams that would want him, but I don't know if there's going to be enough teams that are going to trust him to give him the money that he would want.
And that's the
No.
problem I think it's going to
Yeah.
run with.
He's a liability, isn't he, for himself? The way that he
He
plays,
doesn't.
and we
He
know.
doesn't protect himself. That's you know. the key of it is he's got to, whenever he's doing his runs and he is getting into the game, he's got to protect himself, and that's what he's learned. He really hasn't learned in the past 2-3 years. So he's really got to. This has got to be the season where he's got to stay healthy all season, and he's got to prove that he is worthy of being a franchise quarterback.
The thing is with him though, when you talk about protecting himself, he doesn't slide. He leans forward to go down.
Mm.
Helmet first. It's ridiculous, and he did it again. It was against the Bills, and weirdly enough, because the memes coming out of it were horrific, funny but horrific. About how it was Damar Hamlin that he crashed into, and Tua went out and was thinking. Obviously, I'm sure we can all imagine the memes that came out of it, even if you didn't see the memes. It's things like that that are just if it hasn't been coached into you right now to slide.
Yeah, he probably needed to be taken to whatever the Miami baseball team is and learn how to bloody slide properly. More to protect himself than anything.
I was going to say the Woods. Just nice and quiet. Just him and Mike McDaniel.
Back of the head.
Just it's Florida, so it'd be the swamps, wouldn't it? Really?
Yeah.
He needs to learn though. He needs to, and that's why I think if he goes out injured, especially if it's a head injury, I think that's him done at the Dolphins. I think he's gone.
Agreed.
And I wouldn't be surprised if he gets a concussion this year. That's his career over.
Yeah,
but
it's been too many.
Another thing I think though with this Dolphins Colts game, which I think is going to be really interesting to see, in a non-morbid way, the Colts are at home. What's happened during this offseason has happened during this offseason. They will obviously honour Jim Irsay before the game. How that weighs on players and weighs on the coach and weighs on everyone just before the game, who will have to sit there and go through it. And we all say a lot. We've all had things to say about Jim Irsay in the past, but they loved him. They thought he was great. And he was very close to a lot of his players. Did a lot for the mental health and all that sort of stuff. It's going to be an emotional time just before that game, and again, how that weighs on those players going into the game, we don't know how that's going to affect him. It could motivate them and just go, let's go out there and win it for Irsay, or it could weigh on them a little bit, and they could all be just a little bit sad going into the game, which would be understandable. Not what you want, but it'd be understandable. And how that ends up affecting them, and even the new guys who just came in during the off season and didn't get the time to know him, you have to sit there and be around all that sadness. And it's like, weirdly enough, during COVID, right, that year, I had a job where I was just making a little bit of money filming funerals for people. It was a weird little job. I'm in funerals of people that I haven't got a clue of. I've never met this person in my life. I've never met anyone in that room, but still just being around that sadness and just being around that kind of energy, it weighs on you a little bit. It'd be interesting, just to see how that affects the Colts going into the game, really.
Yeah. Plus the Colts have obviously announced Daniel Jones as their starting QB, and I think there's a lot of frustration in the fan base at the minute. Realistically, obviously they've had a tough off season with the whole grief process, losing their owner, but also then the bleak prospect of Daniel Jones as your quarterback is an interesting one that might well have an impact on how the fans go into the game as well.
Yeah. Are there any other games that stand out to you this weekend? Like really stand out?
I have one, but it's more of a personal reason, and that's the Seahawks against the Niners. And that's purely because that, to me, these are the two that stand a chance of being our rivals. So to us, it's going to be who's going to be the team to stand against the Rams, in my opinion. But I also think that these are two teams which both are very strong. I mean, I know that obviously we've said that the Niners are in a bit of a rebuild, but actually, when you look at their team, are they in a rebuild or are they just remodeling? Because their team is strong. CMC back, who's arguably going to be up for comeback player of the year. Purdy, obviously, how is he going to work with the wide receivers? Bringing in Brian Robinson, which obviously is going to help McCaffrey. They've lost a few pieces on defense, but also they've then gained a few with, is it Mikael Williams?
Yeah, Mika Williams.
Nico
Yeah,
Williams,
the
yeah.
linebacker. And again, brought in a few other pieces, which still looks a very strong team.
Yeah.
And then obviously on the other side, to the Seahawks, they've got rid of DK, which I think to a certain degree is a great move for them because I think he can be a bit of a disruptor. The amount of games where he would go and he'd basically put the team on the back foot by getting a 15-yard penalty. So hopefully they don't have any of that. Obviously, bringing in Cooper Kupp, I think, is going to be great for them. He's still got something left in the tank. And JSN obviously stepping up for his next year. Again, one of the big question marks around the Seahawks defense was, can they stop the run? A bit like we talked about with the Falcons. Can they stop the run? And I think they brought in some good pieces to prevent that now. Their secondary was already brilliant. It was a very good secondary. So to me, it's going to be interesting to see who comes out on top of that game, just purely because both teams are sort of at the same level of can we be the ones to be up there with the Rams? And I'm just waiting to see which of those two teams prevails. I know who I would prefer to win, but it is what it is.
Sea chickens.
I'd rather the Seahawks win. One of my best mates, he supports the Seahawks, so I do have a weird support for them in a way. Like I'd like to have all the teams in our division. If I'm choosing one to do well, it'd be the Seahawks other than us. And just fuck the Niners.
That's nice to say. Like, just completely ignore Gary, who we spend like 12 nights a week with.
Yeah, but
and then
fuck the Niners.
But also, there's a way you can do this that actually I think we can all say this without that makes it seem even more logical. Aiden Durd is the Seahawks defensive coordinator, and we'd all love to see a UK coordinator go on to do really well and become a head coach, right? We'd all love to see that's the way we word it. The way we word it, we'd be selfish about it. So I think that's got to be enough for us for today in terms of the actual slate. We will be back on Saturday. You will see. Well, we'll put up our video on Saturday with our pick'ems. That's returning this year. As you remember, we'll list through all the games. This will be recorded after this episode, but obviously we're not going to drop two videos at exactly the same time. That's a bit stupid. So we will get that up on Saturday. You can see through our pick'ems, and we'll track that throughout the season. I'm going to do it now as well, just in case you don't go on. If you don't go and watch the pick'ems, fair enough. But hopefully you're still with us. The games this week, because it's going to get convoluted. I think we have to help people get through it. The games this week, obviously, Cowboys Eagles, that's on Sky Sports, and Game Pass. All the night games are on Game Pass. The Chiefs Commanders, that will be on YouTube, right? The NFL UK officially listed as just YouTube. They don't list Sky Sports. They don't list NFL Game Pass. It shows up on NFL Game Pass, but again, it's listed on this as only YouTube. So I don't know what the crack is with that. I'd try both, whichever one. Then on Sunday, your Sky Sports game, you've got two Sky Sports games. The blackout one is Steelers versus Jets. That will be available on only Sky Sports. That will only be available on Sky Sports. Then available on Sky Sports and Game Pass is Bucks at Falcons. And finally, the 5 p. The game on Channel 5 will be the early kickoffs will be Giants Commanders. That will be available on Game Pass and on Channel 5. That'll be your big game night where you get to watch the quiz show. I'll be at the NFL event, but I'm going to try that next week. I genuinely, I don't care. I'm trying it. Then in the evening kickoffs, we have two Sky Sports games. Again, one's blacked out. That'll be Texans at Rams.
Yep.
Oh, shame.
At least I have Sky, so it's not a problem.
Um, and then on Sky Sports, you will also have 49ers versus Seahawks. That's on DAZN. Your flipping it. There's free game. This place is on
Yeah,
three
there's
places.
3 games on Sky Sports Plus.
So on 5 Action and Sky Sports and DAZN, I'm winning at life here. Lions versus Packers. If one of them don't work, the other one will. The Lions versus Packers, which I will absolutely be home for. So confusing as that is, they're the games. If you want a little bit more to it, watch the pick'ems as I announce the games as we go through them. I'll tell you what they're on.
As you can, as well as you can tell, is that any game for those that have sort of just turn on Sky and work it out. If it's on Sky Sports NFL, it's a blacked out game. If it's on Sky Sports Plus, it's available on any others.
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. Right. Good luck, Chapman, Ollie, and Tom following this up on Monday. In fact, I think Chapman's not available on Monday. Good
He's
luck,
not.
Tom. I'll be back. Me, Tom, and Ollie on Monday to review all of these things and just look back to how great our predictions were, how smart we all were in what we spoke about, and everything that we've said has been absolutely right. It leaves me without further ado to say a massive thank you to my co-hosts with the co-mosts. That'd be Ballers Meg, Karl, and Sam. Thank you very much, guys. I will see you soon. And one pride. I'm finishing on that one.